As an ideology, Freemasonry is totally opposed to religion. The true aim of Freemasonry is to create a world with no religion. Freemasonry is a system opposed to the Quran and to believe in the Quran. That is the kind of system Freemasonry is. The main propulsive force behind this is atheistic Zionism. Freemasonry may swear by the Quran, for instance, but is in fact at war with it. It is a plan to eliminate everyone in the world who believes in Allah. Of course, Freemasonry's ultimate aim is communism, to make the world a place with no Allah, no religion and no faith. The blood of a young girl or a boy is very important for Masons. They have their own rituals. This is a Masonic idea, and they will not stop the flow of blood. They will absolutely cause blood to flow. Is this not a medieval mindset? The mindset of a witchcraft? There are two great forces in the world. There is the organization of those who believe in Allah, which we call Islam. And there is that of the enemies of Allah, which we call Masonic organizations. Freemasonry has subsumed atheist Zionism. It works hand in hand with atheist Zionism.
Masonlar zaten açık net söylüyorlar. Biz şeytana tapıyoruz diyorlar. Adamlar bakın var.
Baphomet, evet.
Baphomet bu yani temsilleri böyle yine.
Lucifer bu da.
Tabii Lucifer. Ve masonik eserlerden alınmış resimler bunlar. Masonlar söylüyor. Şeytanın feneri bizim gideceğimiz yolu aydınlatır diyor adam. Şeytanın ışığı yani bizim gideceğimiz yolu aydınlatır diyor. Daha ne desin? Çok net ifade. Bunu da şöyle söylüyorlar. Eğer diyorlar biz yeni gelene birdenbire gözüne ışık verirsek gözleri kamaşır. Onun için diyor, uykulu gözlere diyor materyalist felsefe yavaş yavaş verelim ki onların inançlarıyla birdenbire çatışmaya girmeyelim diyor. Hatta diyor ki Selam Işın'dan kitabında herhalde Mason biraderlerimizin bulunması acı bir olaydır diyor, evet. Vardır diyor. Yani Müslüman olarak halen devam ediyor diyor, Mason olduğu halde diyor. Bunu esefle ve üzüntüyle belirtiyor, evet. Açıklıyor.
Evet. Irreligiousness is introduced to higher ranking members. For example, a 20th or 21st degree Mason is not told about irreligion, but 28th to 33rd degree Masons are informed about it, and they are openly told in their books and journals that their true allies are the communists. The true aim of Freemasonry is to create a world with no religion, and they believe they can only do that with the communists. All the communist leaders were Masons. Karl Marx was a Mason, Lenin was a Mason, and Trotsky was a Mason. There are no communist leaders that have not been Masons. Masonry is a system that draws on a few passages taken from the Torah, but that is in fact totally opposed to it. Freemasonry may swear by the Quran, for instance, but is in fact at war with it. It is a plan to eliminate everyone in the world who believes in Allah. The French Masons recently issued a statement about the headscarf. That means they take an interest in all matters, not just in peace. They are interested in religion because Masons say there is no such thing as religion. They say religion is something invented by man. Allah is beyond that. When Masons say that the meaning of something is this or that, that meaning is never true. For example, they swear on the Holy Scriptures, the Torah, the New Testament and the Quran. They speak of Allah, but do not believe in Allah. They speak of a force known as the great architect of the universe. They claim that this is Allah, but then maintain that it is a totally unconscious power. They claim it is a purely random energy. Their descriptions of the compass and set square may seem to be about an emblem of the view of the world, but they themselves know the real meaning. They reveal this in the later stages of membership, but the meaning they really attach to them is shaping and ruling the world. That is the true meaning of their ideas, though they say they use it superficially for certain purposes, though it is impossible to comprehend it. Shamanism is a very acceptable religion in Freemasonry. Masons are also shamanists. They hold shamanist meetings at their assemblies where Satan is summoned and incense burned. They also sacrifice goats, and the goat's head is also a very holy symbol in shamanism. They share the same ideas, so they are also shamanists. What they really want is for Muslim blood to be spilled to inflict savagery on Muslims. This system is aimed against Jews and Christians too, not just against Muslims. In other words, it wants to destroy them all. And Israeli Freemasonry is the best known in the world. Their lodges have senior Masons higher than the 33rd degree. Their places are in Jerusalem. That is where they organize all this excess and bloodshed. The blood of a young girl or a boy is very important for Masons. They have their own rituals. This is a Masonic idea, and they will not stop the flow of blood. They will absolutely cause blood to flow. Is this not a medieval mindset? The mindset of a witchcraft? They summon Satan. Someone goes into a trance and starts foaming at the mouth, and whatever Satan tells them to do in that trance, they do. It begins with a sudden decision. They start when Satan tells them to start, and stop when he tells them to stop. They set this out in their own book. They sacrifice women and children. They sacrifice them to Satan. And they have sacrificed women, young girls, and children to Satan in Gaza as required by this heretical belief. And they will do it again. They will continue to shed blood, sacrifice children to Satan, and offer him the blood of young girls. They hold to the insane and devilish belief that humanity will evolve and develop when people shed blood and wage war on and fight against one another. They therefore constantly set people at one another's throats, and they imagine that this is a very good thing. Darwinist thinking is the fundamental religion of this heretical way of thinking. The crashing of the planes and the attack on the Pentagon were, of course, comprehensively researched and organized over the course of months by Freemasonry. With such a devilish way of thinking, they portray Islam as something frightening. Hence, they brought forth the idea that Muslims carried out the September 11 attacks. The most important thing in those days was the way Ottoman intellectuals lost their faith. The great majority of Ottoman intellectuals adopted Darwinist materialist views, particularly after the appearance of Marx and Hegel. They entirely lost their faith, and many of them became Masons. The late Sultan Abdülhamit made great efforts, but there was nothing he could do. They moved inside the court and occupied the most important positions there, right up to the management of the palace. Then, as you know, they removed Abdülhamit from the throne, and they split up and fragmented the Ottoman Empire. Hazrat Mehdi alayhi salam has appeared, and the coming of the Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is imminent. Not even the combined power of all the Masons and all atheist Zionists can overcome Hazrat Mehdi alayhi salam. By Allah's leave, Hazrat Mehdi alayhi salam will rout them all, and you will see they are not strong enough to oppose him, and they will have no salvation from him, inshallah. After I exposed Freemasonry, it lost much of its strength in Turkey. Darwinism also lost much of its strength in Turkey after I exposed it for what it is. In other words, had I not eliminated it, Turkey would by now be in a dreadful state. Freemasons could have obtained huge results. They are responsible for thousands of unsolved killings of our citizens. The leaders of Islamic countries, not all, but of most Islamic countries, are under the control of atheist Zionists by way of the Masons. Darwin just based his own views on his grandfather's ideas. They were both Masons. Deniers of Allah and atheists needed some sort of foundation. It was no good for them just to stand up and say they were atheists. They needed to produce some sort of basis for it. The Masons are Darwinists, meaning that they believe in the religion that is Darwinism, and that makes them a religious community, the community of Darwin. Freemasonry and atheism have one single objective: to make the world a Darwinist, atheist, and materialist place, and to develop a single world state with a communal structure, and to divide people in two within that system, creating constant anarchy and suffering by inciting the one group against the other. That is the mindset of Freemasonry. This is a system that does not believe that living together in peace and love would be a good thing for mankind, and that constant conflict, tension, and violence are essential. That is where the idea of thesis-antithesis came from. As you know, it is something espoused by Masons and by fascists. Freemasonry is secret. Their rituals are secret, the way they worship is secret, their books, philosophy, and rules are all secret. But their religion, the belief they have spread across the world, is Darwinism. Darwinism is rooted in Freemasonry because Darwin himself was a Mason. That religion is a deification of matter. It makes a God out of individual atoms. Then they believe that these tiny gods combined together and created first protein, then the cell, and then human beings. While the ancient pagans used to worship idols, Darwinism deifies all these atoms in the world. In other words, they believe they are all divine. They call this chance, but they portray chance as a god and ascribe divine attributes to it. I have exposed the temple of Freemasonry and revealed it to the people's eyes, and I have destroyed their religion. I have destroyed their atheist religion, Darwinism. The Masons had people wound around their little finger, but we have totally demolished their stratagem of theirs, inshallah. Of course, Freemasonry's ultimate aim is communism, to make the world a place with no Allah, no religion, and no faith, to turn people into herds, may Allah forbid, and to eliminate all religions from the world. But atheist Zionists are very dangerous. They work hand in hand with Masons. The Masons direct the world with atheist Zionists. That is what we call the system of the Dajjal. There are two great forces in the world. There is the organization of those who believe in Allah, which we call Islam. And there is that of the enemies of Allah, which we call Masonic organizations. Freemasonry has subsumed atheist Zionism. It works hand in hand with atheist Zionism. They are few in numbers, but they run the whole world. Yet if Muslims were united, if they abided by Allah's command, if they watched out for one another in the way the Masons do, they could crush the Masons and leave nothing of them behind. Agartha is an imaginary land that people see as a result of Satan producing hallucinations. It is a system employed by the Masons, a belief used by the Masons. And they have made an organization out of Agartha. We sometimes hear of people taking drugs and hallucinating. They see imaginary things. That is basically what it is. They put a Mason in a hypnotic trance in the Agartha Masonic places of worship. In that trance state, he says that Satan has taken him to his own land, and he sees hallucinations. The leader of Agartha, they refer to as Satan. They depict him sitting on a throne as an entity resembling a goat. In other words, they regard him as the leader of the Agartha. They do what he says. They believe that Satan will devastate them if they do not do what he says. They are terrified of Satan. For example, if Satan tells them to shed blood, they shed blood. If he says go and bomb such and such a place, they bomb it. If he says go and kill so and so, they go and kill him. They engage in such mindless activities because Satan is their leader.
Ya diyorlar kardeşim sen nasıl mason olursun? Hem de üstad mason, Meşrik-i Azam. Ben talep etmedim. 33 derece diploması çok şık ve güzel bir diploma. Çok teşekkür ediyorum.
Diploma molto elegante, la ringrazio moltissimo. Ma lui le dica che lui